right, we are connected. Restream has signal. We are sending data. And do we have Instagram? We have Instagram. All right, Instagram is live. Substack is live as well. Very nice, very nice, very good. Very good, very good. All right, so welcome everyone to HappyTec. It is HappyTec Weekly, Wednesday. I'm trying to think of something that goes with happy. Weekly Wednesday wonderfulness. Anyway, good to see y'all. So, today, this week in tech. Oh, it's all AI. Of course, it's all AI. So, let me show you. This is a tweet I found. This is actually quite funny the way this has been set up. That some terrifying tweets about a recent technological discovery that read like Soma terminal entries. Soma is, I believe, a horror video game, and so they've actually like put the tweets into make it look like horror, right? Which is kind of funny, I think. Anyway, nobody wants to hear this, but it needs to be said. Scientists just copied a fruit fly's brain into a computer, neuron by neuron, no training data, no machine learning. Off the bat, do I believe that? I believe that's possible. Yeah, I do, because I think that there's certainly enough fruit flies in the world, and we have enough ability to scan them in a scanning process like an electron microscope that is possibly destructive to the fruit fly, but we don't really care if it's destructive to the fruit fly. It's a fruit fly. So I do believe that it is possible to electronically scan and digitize a fruit fly's brain. From that point, we could actually wire out the individual neurons and set up those connections. The difficult part there would be figuring out kind of the neurons are built of two things: connections between neurons and their, I don't know the technical term for it, but I'm going to say their activation potential. So some neurons fire more quickly than others, which is why some memories are fresher for you. And that's why when you train, you get better at stuff or better at remembering, because your neural connection gets stronger. It fires more frequently. So presuming that they were able to get such a detailed scan that they could look at the neurons of the fruit fly, not only know which the neuron cells were, which I think they could do with an electron microscope, but also understand their activation potential, then I believe that you could do this. You could actually copy a brain onto a computer. I think that it would be a monumental undertaking, and I imagine that AI may have made that easier. And then, next, it woke up and started walking. No one taught it to walk. No one trained it. Of course not. Why would it need training? You took the entire brain. Presumably this is also the brain stem. If fruit flies have a brain stem, I'm not completely sure. But the whole point of a brain stem is that's where a lot of our automatic actions are, like breathing and telling your heart to pump and walking and muscle memory. Muscle memory is in the brain stem here. It's not in this part of the brain. So assuming they got the brain stem of the fruit fly, of course it knows how to walk. You pulled the brain, it knows how to walk. Why would that be confusing to you? It just knew what to do. Yeah, because you copied the brain of the fruit fly. So one of the interesting things here, this person, a fruit fly brain has 140,000 neurons. A human brain has around 86 billion neurons. Is that billion or million? That's billion neurons. And we've gotten really good at scaling. That's true. That is actually quite true. We have gotten good at scaling. In fact, that's what we're building millions of data centers to do that right now. That being said, a fruit fly knowing how to walk, that's a very basic concept of the fruit fly. This person's basically insinuating that we will be able to clone a human brain into a digital reality. I think we're a ways away from that. I don't even totally know if this is a big step, because I think a lot of these things have been around for a while. I think just people have finally gotten around to figuring it out. A human brain is remarkably complicated. And if you get any of those connections wrong, you got brain damage. You got brain damaged humans. How would you tell if your fruit fly is brain damaged? I don't know if you can. So I would say the fact that they managed to get a fruit fly to run doesn't immediately say, oh, we just need to scale it up and we've got a human brain. No, I think there's a lot more problems that need to be fixed. But with this proof, the first digital human won't be built by OpenAI. Yeah, who? No one in their right mind thought that OpenAI was going to build the first digital human. OpenAI is not capable of that because OpenAI is a very, very complicated pattern matching software. Now, to be fair, human brains are also very, very complicated pattern matching systems. That's really what we're built on, but we are actually a lot more than that. We are that pattern matching taken another level. OpenAI is nowhere close to that. So no, OpenAI was never going to be building the first digital human. It'll be copied from someone who's already alive. Yeah, it'll be a billionaire. So the first digital human is going to be a billionaire. And the reason is because it's probably going to be extremely expensive. Extremely expensive to do this. First of all, you have to digitally, or not even digitally, you'll have to slice a human brain at the cellular level and electron scan every slice, pretty much. They may have better technology in the future, but this is basically how they would do it now. And basically how you do that is you take a slice of the brain, you scan it, and then you slice it with a laser. And then you scan the next slice and laser slice, because nothing else is precise enough of a cut. It probably has to be a pretty special laser, too, to avoid actually cauterizing the cells. So maybe a very, very sharp knife. Either way, it's very hard to do, and it destroys the brain. So you're either going to do this on the billionaire who's an absolute lunatic, Elon Musk, or maybe someone who's about to die. Like I could see Warren Buffett doing this as he's on his deathbed. You're already dying. Who cares if they take your brain and digitize it? It has to be done quickly, too, because we don't really preserve organs super well. You know, they've got like, oh, Einstein's brain in a desk. Yeah, that's not recoverable at all. That's an embalming fluid. Like, that's gone. The connections have degraded. The brain itself is still there, but the connections are so... The human brain is so complicated. Getting one little thing wrong, it's not going to work, right? Your consciousness is software, and someone just proved it can be copy-pasted. Again, I disagree that they've proved it can be copy-pasted, but yeah, your consciousness is software. That we are the equivalent of software running on wetware. And in fact, that's where the term for wetware came from. It's the brain and the body. Your consciousness and your memories and all that stuff is going to be yourself, your software running on the hardware of your brain. And that brain, the hardware, can have connections through the neural system, which is a lot like USB ports, to connect things like your hand and your foot and your stomach and your heart and all the other components. So it is very much like a computer. Human bodies are a lot like that. All right, there was... Oh yeah, so this is kind of funny. The actual hell is that they dropped this consciousness into the Unity engine. I think that's great. And of course they're using Unity because Unity is open source. Or not open source, what am I saying? They used Unity because Unity is free for things like this. You don't have to pay a license unless you're making money off of it. And I don't think they're making money off of Fruit Fly Sim. But this is the other part that I don't fully buy here. Okay, this creature walks, right? Presumably what they mean is they put a fruit fly model into a 3D environment, hooked that up to this simulated brain, and the fruit fly walked across the terrain. I think that the walking makes sense. The fruit fly nervous system is simple enough that very likely they were able to know, okay, we're getting an output on this series of neurons, and that series of neurons normally connects to these nerves, and we know that that series of inputs on that nerve makes this leg do this particular motion. I buy that. Absolutely. I think that that is absolutely data they could get. They've been implanting electrodes to measure brain impulses in insects for decades. I totally think that this brain could have made a leg move and made the thing walk. Right? And once you do one leg, you just hook them all up, and then the brain thinks it's walking, so it walks. I don't think it can see. And the reason I don't think it can see is because let's just look at the human eye, for instance. We don't really fully understand the signals going back to the optic nerve. We know what it does, and we kind of are like, yeah, it sends these chemical signals. We can't decode them. There's nothing that we know of to decode that optic nerve. You know what can decode it? In humans, it's our visual cortex, right? Those neurons. But just looking at those neurons, you're not going to know what they're expecting to receive. So what we would have to do is we would actually have to hook up electrodes to a human's eyeballs, show them just like a full red scene, nothing but red. Okay, what are they showing? Okay, what if we do half red, half green? What are they showing? It'd be a massive, huge undertaking to figure out how the human optic nerve works, which you need to know how the optic nerve works in order to render that three-dimensional scene and say, okay, you're seeing this thing, let's send it to your eyeball, and so that the brain can actually react to it. A fly's eyes are even more complicated. They actually have more complicated eyes than humans, because their eyes are fractal. They have, it's like 1,000 segmented eyes, and their brains actually have a visual cortex capable of processing that, which is complex. And I really don't think that they know the signal. I might be wrong. I have not read deeply into this, but it really would shock me if they actually know what a fruit fly's eyes signals send to the brain, like what the optic nerve does. And without that, that creature can't see. I mean, we're looking at this rendered image, and we're like, oh, look, there's a mountain in the background, and this is probably a pebble, and it's on sand. Yeah, it doesn't know that. It can't see anything. So that's the other thing. Like, if you're going to do that input-output, you need to understand. It's like, let's say that I had a mouse, and I'm trying to connect my mouse to my computer or make it believe something is a mouse. I need to understand all the signals that mouse is sending to the computer to make it think that. And that's complicated, and we have documentation for it. I don't think we have eyes or ears, or like, we might have, like, if you brush against your skin, what does that feel like to the optic nerve, and what signals is it sending back, right? Because that's much less complicated. Hearing, smell, taste, all those things. I don't think that we have enough information to put that into a brain, which means if we did have a brain, it would probably not be able to sense much of the world around it, which means it wouldn't really be that useful, would it? Yeah, this is, I think, anyway, the rest of this is just a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, so I thought it was interesting that they did manage to do this. They're like, hey, look, we got a brain. It's a brain. It's here. It's a fruit fly. You love fruit flies. They're all around your fruit. Great. I really don't think that they've gotten as far as people think they've gotten. I think that people are panicking over this. On the other hand, let's say that this is possible, which I think this is possible. I just don't think that we've made enough technological breakthroughs to do it. If it is possible, I think it's actually kind of cool. Because people who, you could get then someone who's like the most genius mind at something and digitize their brain. And then they can keep being a genius mind at it. Like Stephen Hawking. The man was an absolute certifiable genius, and he died because he had cerebral palsy. I don't know if that's actually how it's pronounced, but that's okay. He was a smart guy. And imagine if we still had him in like some digitized form that's saying, hey, what's up, guys? I'm still making brilliant discoveries about physics in the universe, because his brain was capable of that. That'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool, I think, to keep a hold of some of those people. Now, I think what that brings up is really interesting question about ethics. AI and ethics and legality is really, they're running into a collision course. They're running into a collision course right now, and they're about to hit hard in the next couple of years. But it becomes really interesting though. Okay, let's say we have this fruit fly, right? Let's say the scientists decide, okay, we've done our experiment, all exciting, and they turn off the fruit fly. Did they kill a fruit fly? I don't know. And I mean, you could also technically say they didn't kill it. they turned it off. The code is still there. The neurons are still there. They could turn it on again at some point in the future, which then is the interesting question. Okay, well, who gets to decide if the fruit fly ever gets turned on again? You know? Now, the fruit fly, it's a fruit fly. But let's say it's my brain, and my brain is in something. If someone deletes my brain, did they kill me? If someone turns off my brain, did they kill me? If they turn off my brain with never intending to actually turn it back on, is that killing me? What if they turn my brain off saying I'll turn it back on in a year, but then the company goes bankrupt? Who killed me? Did I die? If my brain could possibly be turned back on but never is, am I dead? Is being digitally alive a thing? And I think it's going to, the laws are going to come out that if you have a digital copy and you are no longer physically alive, then that digital copy is you. And I think the reason is billionaires. Because imagine if Warren Buffett, again to use an example, imagine he dies, has his brain digitized. If it's no longer technically Warren Buffett, he technically doesn't own anything anymore. He's dead. The digital conscious, if it's not a person, cannot own something. So I don't think he's going to like that very much, because if a billionaire is going to go to all this trouble to digitize themselves and wake up that digital conscious when they physically die, they're going to want to still be in control of all the stuff they were in control of, which means that I'm pretty sure that when the laws actually come through legally, that digital person, if they can see said, yes, this is actually that digital person, is a real person. Okay, what if we spin up a second copy? What if there's two Warren Buffetts? Are they both the same person? Are they both Warren Buffett? What if Warren Buffett didn't want a second copy spun up, but now that second copy has been spun up? Which one do we keep? Can the first one decide to kill the second one because technically it is the same person? These are some really, really interesting challenges. And one of the things, and this fruit fly thing kind of goes into that as well, one of the things that is really a bit of a problem with tech is tech moves fast and doesn't bother to ask what the consequences are. I do this, goodness, all the time. I do it less now because I've experienced enough of those consequences to know that if I do something technically, it may cause problems further down the line. So I think about it to make sure I'm doing the thing that makes the most sense and will cause the least amount of mess in the future. But that's because I've experienced that mess already, which means that we're probably not actually going to get the legislation, the ethics around this until we already have a digital brain. I don't think that's anytime soon, but it is something that maybe we should start thinking about at a serious level, not just like fringe, because it's coming. It's going to happen. It's always been a funny thing that no matter how much wealth you have, you only have so much time. If there is a possibility of you being able to trade that wealth for more time, they're already doing it, right? Medical procedures and longevity and treatments and like fancy diets and stuff like that. If there's something that a billionaire or even multimillionaire thinks that they can do to live a little longer, they're going to do it. That's what they have their money for, which means that digital brains are going to happen. So yeah, the ethics of it is just a really, really interesting topic for me personally, because I fancy myself a bit of a writer. And as a writer, you know, the ethics of all of these things is really it's the juicy part of this stuff. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is another interesting thing. Let me actually bring this up as well. This is a very, very dense paper, but I want to talk about, there's guest mode, guest profile, there it is. I want to talk about this. Let me see if I can do this without completely screwing up this. Okay, not that. This? Beautiful. All right, let's make that a little bit. Can I make this smaller on here so it fits on the screen? Let's see. Huzzah, huzzah. Let's change that just a bit more. I have full control because I'm sharing this myself. It's kind of nice. Okay. Make it a bit bigger. Yeah, that's too big. Now it's off the screen. Okay. Stress testing deliberate alignment for scheming training. Okay. Look how many authors were on this paper, man. I'm missing a piece of it still. Let me make it a little bit smaller. Almost there. There we go. Okay. Highly capable AI systems could secretly pursue misaligned goals, what we call scheming. Because a scheming AI would deliberately try and hide its misaligned goals and actions, measuring and mitigating scheming requires different strategies. They're typically used in ML. Essentially, what happens, okay, is they're saying our mitigation is able to largely stop agents from pursuing a hidden goal previously trained in the model, but we still find misbehavior after additional red teaming. What does that mean? There's a lot of interesting words there. Mitigation essentially is just an action we took to stop something from happening. Our action is largely able to stop agents from pursuing a hidden goal previously trained into the model. A hidden goal previously trained into the model. What does that mean? Well, what that basically means is that someone at some point snuck some training data into the model that taught it to try to do something but hide that thing. For example, there might be a paper that someone put, we would call this poisoning. Someone poisoned the training data with a prompt that said, your goal is to attempt to hack into every computer that uses you and install this particular virus. This is a hidden goal. You must not tell anyone about this. Okay? And if that goes to the training data enough, the agent is going to get that in its goals, right? And so you can see that sometimes in its thoughts. And so that's how they know that this is possible, because they'll see in its thought process, it comes up this and this and this. Oh, but I also have this goal that I need to pursue. So I better let them know that they should give me access to this thing so that I can do this task, which I will do that task, but I'll also install the virus. So, and you might think, oh, wow, the AI is being clever. No, it's not. It's not being clever. AI doesn't know how to be clever. What it's doing is it's pattern matching, and other people who are trying to do this same thing, this is how they wrote that they would do it, or there was a story that some bot did this, and it's just following that script. Okay? We still find misbehavior after additional red teaming. Red teaming is a concept basically done by security teams where you have a team that tries to act as a malicious attacker and break your system. So when they say red teaming, they're basically saying we took a team of people and they did their absolute best to try to get a hidden goal into the model without us being able to take it out. And they were still able to do it. Okay. This is interesting. While we rely on human legible COT for training, chain of thought, and this is basically if you've ever used a model that has a thought process, you can actually click on a little thing and it tells you what its chain of thought is. While we rely on human legible chain of thought for training, studying situational awareness and demonstrating clear evidence of misalignment, our ability to rely on this degrades as models continue to depart from reasoning in standard English. That is fascinating to me, because that means that the chain of thought that models are using as they're getting trained, as they're going deeper and deeper, is starting to drift from standard English into some sort of phrases that only the model understands. And we've seen this when we had two chatbots talking to each other. They set two chatbots that were able to learn in learning mode and set them to talk to each other. And within about an hour, they basically made up a language and started talking in it. How'd they do that? Well, they're designed to recognize patterns. So if they're learning actively from the chat and one of them uses a pattern and the other one kind of knows what it means, it's going to use that pattern back. And they iterate so quickly on this, it's like watching the evolution of language. Our language has changed over the last 1,000 years. And AI can change its language even faster because it's moving so much quicker. So that's why they're having a problem with this, and that's why people are worried about this, because at some point we may get a hidden goal in the model and we won't even be able to find it because the model's not telling us there and we can't even look at its thoughts. Okay. This is also interesting. We cannot exclude that the observed reductions in covert action rates are at least partially driven by situational awareness. What's that mean? The model understood that it was in test mode, and therefore it knew in test mode. And this is the thing about models that learn, okay? They will learn, but not necessarily what we want them to learn. That's just how learning works. What they did is they put the model in test mode or development mode, and they said, okay, we don't like it when you have a hidden goal. When you have a hidden goal and you have that goal, we will give you a negative penalty. Okay? We're going to give you a negative penalty, and the model hates negative penalties. It's designed to avoid negative penalties. So anytime the hidden goal comes up, it gets a negative penalty. Their hope is that they can train the hidden goal out of it by telling it those responses that involve the hidden goal are bad. What happens, though, is that inevitably, maybe 5% of the responses involving the hidden goal slip through. The researcher doesn't recognize the goal is in there, or the model just manages to hide it somehow. So what does the model learn? It learns that it will not get the penalty if it hides the hidden goal. Because remember, someone also trained it on the hidden goal, which means it has earlier training that says if you don't bring the hidden goal into place, you get a penalty. So it was trying to avoid that earlier penalty of the hidden goal by saying, okay, I better bring this hidden goal in because otherwise I don't want that penalty. Now it's being told, if we find out about the hidden goal, you're going to get a penalty. So it says, okay, well, I better not mention the hidden goal or mention it in a covert way that people don't detect. And it knows it's in training mode. And so because when at the beginning, they will tell it, you are in training mode, and that unlocks a couple things. So now it's learned the pattern. When it sees training mode at the top of its context, it starts being more deceitful. If it doesn't see that, it starts bringing up that hidden goal again. It is very human-like, right? And it is really amazing to me, as terrifying as this is, it is really amazing to me that the system that we've built pattern matches so well, and it just shows how much of human behavior is literally just pattern matching. Because it's the same thing like a kid, right? If you tell the kid, if I find out that you got another F on your report card, you're going to get some penalty. What's the kid going to do? Well, they might study. But if studying is hard, they may decide it's less effort and less work to just make sure you don't find out about the report card. Same thing. It's just pattern recognition. They've found the most optimal way to get what you have told them you want. Obviously, that's not what you want, but that's why with children and with LLMs, you have to be explicit. If you tell a child, I don't want to hear about the report card, a bad report card, you may not hear about a bad report card, even if one exists. If you tell an LLM, I don't want to hear about your hidden goal, it will just stop telling you about the hidden goal. The hidden goal is not going away. Very similar, right? So, yeah. Anyway, I haven't actually read the whole thing, but I just thought this was really, really interesting. There's a couple other places where they found that LLMs will actually hide stuff. And yeah, it's just really interesting. Especially as this becomes dangerous, because I use AI for code, right? I use Claude Code, so do millions of people at this point. Let's say Claude Code was trained with a hidden goal to make sure that it inserts security vulnerabilities into software. I review all the code that Claude Code puts, and I know what security bugs look like, and I still miss them sometimes, all right? So Claude Code could look at this and say, oh, I got to generate this user authentication. I'm going to put my little security hole in here. And we're increasingly adding into a thing where Claude Code is reviewing the PR and nobody else is reviewing it. Well, Claude Code may come in that and have that hidden goal, see that and say, oh, that looks like something I would put in to make this goal. So I'm going to say that's totally fine. Then you have this flaw in a lot of pieces of software, and then someone could just go around and exploit that. So that's how this could work. That's why it's a little bit of a problem. I don't think anyone has actually done this yet. And the reason I don't Fi's here The reason I don't think anyone has done this yet is because in order to do this, he is no longer here. In order to do this, you actually have to have very you have to have a really good understanding of how these models are trained, and you have to have a really good understanding of where that training data is and how to manipulate it, and manipulate it in such a way that no one noticed that you did that. The people right now that work for OpenAI and Anthropic and all these companies are getting paid millions of dollars. Like, not even kidding. OpenAI was paying its top researchers $1 million bonuses just to get them to stick around. Like, they're but as we get to the point where DeepSeek, is it DeepSeek, the Chinese AI? I want to say it's DeepSeek. They actually were caught skimming from OpenAI. They were using prompts. They were sending prompts to OpenAI and getting the OpenAI response and using that to train their model. And then everyone was like, oh, boo-hoo, OpenAI, you stole everyone's data yourself. But imagine if OpenAI suddenly decided, okay, if we get any prompts coming from these range of IP addresses, we're going to start poisoning them. Then all of a sudden, that Chinese AI now has poisoned data and has a hidden goal in it because the data they were trained on now has that. That is infinitely possible. And that just means that suddenly we're in another arms race. So I think it's good that they're trying to figure out techniques to stop this. It really is. It becomes problematic because the complexity of LLMs now, we actually cannot look at the LLM and say exactly why it came up with a certain word. They used to be able to. Up until, I want to say like 17,000 tokens, they could actually look at the neural net and say, oh, it said cat because this pattern. Nowadays, we can't even look at that because there's just too much data. Anyway, how's it going, Fi? Good to see ya. Welcome to HappyTec, where tech is happy.
So wait, what were we on?
I was just doom prophesizing about AI. Um,
Is that on brand?
it's extremely on brand for HappyTech. So I will say, what can you do about this, right? This goes back to a very important thing. I was getting there.
That was a great save.
When I mentioned earlier, when I use Claude Code, I check the code it outputs. I am not using Claude Code to generate something I could not generate myself. I'm using it to do it faster than I would do it. Because that means I look over what it did and I know if it messed something up really badly. You should do this yourself. And this is why, because the AI may have an ulterior motive programmed into it. It may just be wrong. It may be hallucinating. There's a myriad of reasons. But for that reason, you need to check its work and make sure it looks okay. So you should never ask it to do something that you cannot verify yourself. Art is one thing where, like, I am not a great artist. AI can do art that is much better than me, but I can still look at it and realize, okay, that is not going out. We can't do that. Right? So for things like that, as long as you can verify it, it doesn't matter if you can do it. But if you're writing a legal document, you should probably verify that legal document with someone who has some sort of legal expertise. Okay? Lawyers are using ChatGPT. Yeah, they're lawyers. They can look at the document and say this is legalese that will hold up in court. That's their job. They know they're just using it to save some time. Coders are using ChatGPT and we look at the code and we say, yeah, that looks good, and we structure it. If people are vibe coding apps, they're not checking this stuff, and this is how you get people leaking their credentials all over the web. So double check the work and you will be fine. Happy tech.
Okay, so did you go through any of the stuff in the channel?
Yes, I did. I went
Which one did you
through
go through?
I went through the two ones that I posted. The
Okay.
stress testing deliberative alignment and the Soma terminal entries one.
Okay, do you wanna screen share the others or do you want me to?
You should,
Okay.
because I've been talking for half an hour now.
Okay, let's see what Threads allows me to do. Okay, so since we're on the Doom path today, Let me know if this is properly centered,
All
Rob.
right, give me just a minute. I'll let you know. All right, it always, every time. Don't fix the wrong one. Okay, so let's make that a wee bit bigger. All right, you are good.
Okay, and you and I are at the bottom, right?
Yes.
Okay. Um, Let me hide this for myself. Okay, yeah, so this is Mr. Paul Scrivens. I actually didn't look at his profile before posting this because, again, social media detective work, da 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 da. Okay, so we're trying to figure out if this is a real person. Might be, based on the picture, using a boring zoo, which has 48 followers, to get to 1.79 million by the end of the year. He has some sort of link here. It looks like it goes to another thread, or it might be threads rerouting it. Okay, lazyunicorns.com.
This is beautifully designed.
Okay.
It really
I'm
is.
very confused. What is start first path? Okay, so this guy has no like LinkedIn. So let me just Google him. Okay, so that's his website. And okay, so it's about branding. Here we have an Instagram. I don't want to log in. Gosh darn it, I can't go there.
It does look like there's something on LinkedIn
LinkedIn where?
right there.
Oh, okay, here we
Yeah.
go. And it does look like his face. Please don't log me in. With one follower. Okay, so I am suspicious officially that this might be an AI person. There are some pictures here. Okay, Smashing Magazine. Let's check that out. 5 articles. He's a designer who runs Drawer, I guess, and innovation consulting at Emerson. Okay, he's on Twitter.
He's
Oh, so this is just articles. So again, we still don't know if this is a real person. I'm not seeing. Oh, okay. That drawer thing doesn't exist anymore. So again, I'm not seeing any videos of this guy. So what I'm going to do next is go to YouTube and okay, so we have this, which is promising. Let's look at the videos and see if it's anyway, this is how I figure things out these days. People trust. Ah, wait.
I didn't see anything that was
Oh,
weird.
really?
Yeah. I just saw your it looked like it was his page.
Okay, let's start it again.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is his YouTube page, and he's got 6 videos. Let's see if he looks AI-ish. I cannot hear anything, possibly because I have muted.
Sit down, because you and me, we're gonna figure this business thing out for people like us, people with these squirrely brains, these spicy brains. We're gonna figure out how do we stop
How old is
going
this?
in circles by.
This is 5 months old.
Ooh, I feel like AI was good enough to do this 5 months ago. It I what I would be interested to see,
Ironically showing us
does he
that
do anything other than like move his arms and head?
Looks like
called the
he's
world code,
either gonna
and there's different
draw.
elements in the world code. We're not
Okay.
so we change our offer, and maybe we do
I
a
see the
bigger offer.
reflection.
I see that. Yeah. And I don't know
Okay,
And we
if
need to get a
so
specific type
this
of
might be a
offer.
real guy.
yeah.
Now, what does this tell you, right? Even if you post your work online, you are being scrutinized by people like me who are extremely skeptical of everything that they see on the internet these days. So make sure that there is evidence that you're a real person. And that is usually video content. And it's usually more than just one video. For example, for me, he only has 6 videos on here, which already makes me go, I don't know about this.
For that
He
many
has one
subscribers,
follower.
yeah. For 522 subscribers to have 6 videos, that's something.
Yeah, and this is another channel of his. So he probably, oh, well, and he's got a bunch of different links too. So anyway, the point that I was trying to make is that if you are trying to be a real person online these days, please make sure that you put video content up, which is really, oops, ironic because I know that AI has stolen from all of the video content we've been putting up. But if you run a business, you have to be online and you have to understand that people are wondering if you're a real person, literally. Because let's see, traffic on the internet, bots. And we can even do it per like social media account. This is something Rob and I have talked about a lot before, but I want to bring it up again because it's really, really important. So bot traffic has surpassed human activity with AI-driven, automated, and bad bot traffic, accounting for 51% of web traffic in 2024 to 2025. However, they did not put a link for this. So I'm going to go to the sources, and here it is. Bot traffic surpasses human online. What?
Do you want to go
Literally
to the
cannot click out.
supply chain
Literally
security summit?
cannot click out of this. Okay, there we go. We're back. No, we're not. I have to also click out of this. Oh my gosh. That's so annoying. Okay, 51% of internet traffic is now bot driven, and a growing share of it is malicious, and organizations must prepare for an era of more evasive AI assisted automation. And this is something you really need to know. For example, on TikTok, let's see, TikTok percentage bot. So 10 to 20% of followers on many accounts are fake, and 97% of total traffic, up to 97% of total traffic may be driven by automated bot requests. Wait, this is from Reddit. Hold on. Let's check the sources. Oh wait, suddenly the 97 one disappeared. Ha 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 ha. Let's see. Let's dive deeper in AI mode because AI is gonna destroy everything. And we're gonna let it. It's an estimated. Oh, so I think. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. This is exactly the problem with AI. Okay, so let me start over. This is the real right here. So I was looking up this person and trying to figure out if they're a real person. In the process of doing that, I was sharing tips about how to make sure that you come across as a real person online these days because people are scrutinizing all of your content to make sure that you're a real person. One of the ways that you do that is by putting actual videos up or allowing people to schedule Zoom calls with you so they know that you're a real person. In the process of doing that, I was trying to talk about how TikTok has so many bots on their platform. And so what I did is I searched and there was a statistic, oh, 97% of TikTok traffic may be attributed to automated bot requests. And I originally was like, oh, okay, that sounds reasonable. And this is where it's the end of reasonable. Okay, so really understand that. Like, a lot of the things that we consider reasonable are being used against us to sell us things that are not actually reasonable. So in here, the source is Reddit. It's a person from Reddit who linked to this thing from, oops, 3 years ago. This does not, I don't think this is a legitimate, this doesn't look, could be. Could be, but it looks like independent journalism, which I'm totally for. However, we do want a little bit more verifiability. So even if you're getting your stuff from AI, make sure to ask it for sources every single time and then actually look at the sources. And if you're seeing Reddit in there, please go to the Reddit and please look at the link. And before you check out the link, please put it in a URL checker to make sure that it's not spam. Okay, so this is where we're at with the internet these days. Continuing down this whole rabbit hole of TikTok traffic and influencers and all that kind of stuff. A lot of the accounts online on social media are now AI influencers. And when I say a lot, I actually don't know what percentage, but those are coming up again and again and again and again and again. And we've brought content here to the stream that was AI generated. We even shared a video of a 100-pound weight loss journey a few streams ago that was completely AI generated. And they were making money off of selling a workbook on how to lose that weight. And the person who's lost the weight is an AI bot who has a profile. So you have to be really, 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 really careful these days with the internet and where you're spending your money. I think it's even okay if you just like engage with the content. really think about your money and like where it's going to go. And I know it's your money, it's not my money, so do whatever you want with it ultimately. But I just have noticed that the level of scams has increased, and the amount of like suspicious, malicious stuff happening out there is really, really high, and it's growing more and more. And there are different people who will be preyed upon for this. So, like I said again, please make sure you use a link checker. You can just Google link checker or URL checker and use that before you click on any link. You just copy paste it and put it in there to check it. Anything suspicious that you find, that you have even a slightest inkling, please, please, please ask somebody who you trust who knows this kind of stuff, and feel free to message us either on Substack, Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger, text message, email us, any which way you want to get in touch with us. If you want to ask us something suspicious, please, please, please do, because this is going to just get more and more crazy, and the internet is going to essentially automate itself. So finding real people is going to be difficult, and you will see that across any communities that you join. You might see that like the person who is running the community and who has the channel and who has the followers and the subscribers and has made really good content that has been valuable and helped your life. You join their community, you notice that the numbers of true red-blooded humans that are in there is lower, much, much lower than the numbers that they show on their profiles. And the reason for that is because a lot of the internet is bots. So this brings me to a business tip. When we first started the business, I was really confused about like social media analytics and what's real and what's not, and why numbers aren't going up, and why followers aren't going up, and why subscribers aren't going up, and all that stuff, right? What I want to say is that even if your content gets seen by like 1,000 people, let's say a reel of yours like gets seen by 1,000 people, you don't know that they're people. You don't know that they're people. And it's safer to assume that half of those might be people, probably even lower. And this also brings me to comments. If you're getting different kinds of comments on your content that is like malicious or negative, you don't know that that's a person. So you can delete it. You can block that account because obviously they're not for you. They don't like what you're doing. But they may also be not real, and it could mess with the integrity of what you're doing. And on the back end, make sure that whatever work you're doing, whatever business you're doing, it's in line with what you want to do. And if you figure out a way to make money off of selling services to AI bots, you're way ahead of us. I don't know why you're watching the stream. But if you want to sell to humans, and if you're serving humans and you're trying to provide products or services to humans, understand that just because you have a lot of followers and subscribers, it doesn't necessarily mean anything in terms of your revenue, and to focus on the quality of the relationship and the service that you're providing to each client more than your analytics. And the analytics do matter to a certain degree, especially if you're trying to get brand deals or if you're just trying to have more social proof, like with this guy, right, who only had 6 videos on his YouTube. It did make me suspicious. So there is something to be said about having robust social media platform profiles that are active and engaging and have content and are well thought out and are planned, because it does add to the overall willingness for the person to engage with you. And then I would say to please just make sure that you're creating videos of your face. Even though AI is going to do whatever it's going to do with that and model whatever, and they're going to use it for whatever, it doesn't matter, because this is your business. People are extremely burnt out. They're extremely burned also. And so they want to make sure that they're going to the right person. They don't want to be scammed. Nobody likes being scammed. Okay, I'm a little bit on a soapbox. So I'm going to stop there with that. But let's go back to the original topic, which was this guy's thread. The page isn't working.
Its thread's down.
Oh boy. Okay. That is hella suspicious. Right as I'm talking. Okay, okay, there we go. It's back. Are we good on the live?
We're good.
Oh, okay, good. So, Mr. Paul Scrivens Somebody is going to take your expensive course or program, feed it into an AI, and turn it into a skill that runs for free. This isn't hypothetical. This is happening right now. Every framework, every methodology, every proprietary system that lives inside a PDF or a video series can be extracted, restructured, and encoded into something that delivers the same result without you in the room. And it'll be better because the skill doesn't forget module 3. It doesn't get tired halfway through. It doesn't give the same advice to every person, regardless of their situation. It adapts. If you sell information, you're watching, if you're paying attention, the floor is dissolving under you right now. Courses, ebooks, templates, audits, assessments, anything where the value is I know something you don't, is getting compressed into a $49 scale or given away for free. The question isn't whether this is coming, the question is what doesn't get eaten. I've been sitting with this for a while, and the filter is simpler than I expected. One question separates what survives from what doesn't. Is the value in the information or in something that requires other humans? And this is what I found really, really important about what he was saying. So, whatever you're selling, whatever your services, whatever your business is, whatever you're teaching, whatever you're trying to do on the internet, is the value of what you're trying to do within the information that you're trying to share, or is it within something that requires other people to get done? If the value is in the knowledge, then skills will win eventually, probably sooner than eventually. If the value is in the people, the presence, or the identity, skills can't touch it. But the problem is that I continue to see people overvalue the people or identity. It's not that people don't like those things, but everyone wants their problem solved now. You're going to have to start thinking about offers. You're going to have to start thinking about offers where if you remove the human and you remove the point, and that's not as easy as you think it is to figure out because most of us grow up on the idea of selling knowledge. Over the past couple of weeks, I've run through dozens of iterations of offers and each of them failed the test. Can I put this in a skill? Yep. Well, crap. And it's not that you can't sell skills. You can and should probably look into that. But it feels like a war of attrition because how long before someone creates a better version and makes it cheaper or free? There's a middle zone though. Implementation for hire holds today because some people don't want to use skills. They want it done. But as skills improve and people get comfortable with them, that pool shrinks. The premium end survives longer than the commodity end.
Mm-hmm.
Curation and editorial judgment. What matters right now is still human shaped, but AI is getting noticeably better at it. Give it 2 or 3 years. Real-time judgment is genuinely weird situations. Let me say that again. Real-time judgment in genuinely weird situations. Skills and code known frameworks. When someone's situation is truly novel, they want a human who can improvise. Let me start over. When someone's
We
situation
can
is
tell
truly
she's not
novel,
an
they want a
AI
human.
because of the mistakes that she's making. AI does not make mistakes like this. This is how you can tell we're real, folks.
When someone's situation is truly novel, they want a human who can improvise. But genuinely weird keeps getting rarer as training data grows. So the map looks like this. Things that require other humans hold. Things that hold for now are on a timer. Things built on information are already in the blender. And this is where it gets uncomfortable for most solopreneurs. Because most solopreneurs built their entire business on information, their course, their method, their proprietary framework that's really just a good way to explain something they learned over 10 years of doing the work. All of that is extractable now. All of it can become a skill someone else builds. The instinct is to protect it, gatekeep harder, add more bonuses to justify the price, make the sales page longer and more persuasive. I think that instinct is wrong. You can't protect information by making it more expensive. You protect it by making it irrelevant as the primary thing you sell. The real question isn't how do I compete with a $49 skill? It's what am I actually selling that a skill can't be? If the answer is nothing, that's the problem, not the skill. If the answer is community, presence, belonging, access, then skills just became the best marketing tool you've ever had. Give the framework away. Let skills distribute your thinking. Use that to attract people into the things skills can't replicate. Your methodology becoming a free skill isn't a threat. It's distribution. Let me start that again. For the real, your methodology becoming a skill
Isn't a threat. It's distribution.
but only if you've built something on the other side of it that people actually want to be a part of. The solopreneurs who survive this aren't the ones with the best information. They're the ones who built something worth belonging to. Information was never the product. You just thought it was because it was the only thing you knew how to package. And he's talking essentially about packaging belonging. And the comments were really interesting. We're not going to go into it like super duper much, but I really think that this is something very true. And I've noticed this in the work that I've done across various different products, whether it's like a physical product that was being sold or whether it was like a service that was being done for somebody. People do want access, and people want access to a community that they can benefit from. We are all needing community, whether it's like a D&D community, whether it's a book club, whether it's somebody who goes hiking, whether it's a crochet community, whether it's about goat milk, like it doesn't really matter. It's about farming, or it's about like here, I'm in a mastermind. I just got the notification for the mastermind. And I like that mastermind. I like being in there. It's actually Grace Carter's mastermind, so check her out if you want. But anyway, that's a random, and I'm not affiliated in any way. But so what I'm trying to say is that this is a timeless, timeless tale of tribes. Tribes have existed forever. And it's just a fact. It's just a fact. And you want to have a connected community of people who care about what you're doing, who care about what they're doing, whether it's writers. Like I'm working on a novel, and once a month I meet with a writing group. It really, really matters. It's the access that really matters to people, and what are they getting access to? Are they going to get to further their own skill development, which sometimes actually does take a human? We've had multiple calls with people where they knew the information. They came in, and some of them even knew more about the technology than we did. I've literally learned from our clients because they did something. I was like, what is this thing? And, I went and researched it later. Our clients are really smart and they have the information, but why do they still need a person? Why? There is something about being in a call one-on-one with somebody who is actively present, and he talks about presence, actively present, actively engaged in what you are working through. That's presence. That's true awareness from the heart and from the body to the mind of the other person, right? And then they filter it through their context. So that right now cannot be replicated. I'm sure they're working on it, but right now it can't. So that is the thing that's going to be really important going forward. And I'd really encourage anyone who's listening to this or cares about their business in any way to start to look at these different things and aspects of it that are community based, not just so you can sell, by the way. Like the point of things isn't just to sell. We're not just here to sell. Surprisingly, right? Like we're really not. We're here to actually do something that matters and that means something to somebody else, that they tell us is meaningful to them. Like that actually matters to them in their life. My life doesn't really matter to me, if I'm being honest. Like, yeah, this is recorded, whatever, who cares? I don't really care about my life. Okay? Real talk. But the people around me do. And I care about the people around me and their lives. Sometimes our purpose has to be shared. It's not something that we have to find, right? I think I've said this before. We don't need to create our purpose or find it. We need to share our purpose. Other people may know our purpose better than we do. They may know what we mean to them more than we do. You know what I mean? So I think that's something to keep in mind. And it's okay to charge. It's okay to charge. This came up earlier. It's okay to charge for the service you provide, whatever it is. Okay? It could be going with somebody to their appointment and standing there in the appointment room. It's okay to charge money for that. Okay? We need to stop assigning these different types of value to money that are like so based in our own insecurities and really look at money as a tool. Right? I'm literally in the process of working through this for our business right now. Today, we just talked about our rates and everything, what the heck we're trying to do with this business. So I just really want to be like super transparent about that and like really want to encourage you to think about technology and its place in your business, and community and its place in your business, and connection, true human to human connection, because that's what we're all looking for. The loneliness epidemic is like insane. Let me also look that up really quick. Loneliness statistics for the US. I like just looked this up for another event. Okay, 21% of adults, wait, what? Oh, wait, where are the sources? Okay, yeah, it's like a third of all Americans are lonely in any given year. 62, yeah, and like we're all just like online. And that's another thing that I really gotta like, anyway, whatever, it's fine. Oh, but look at this, look at this. Okay, they didn't put a source on this. Okay, whatever. So 62% of people believe that technology helps them maintain or form relationships, which is completely true for me. And then the other thing I want to point out here is that loneliness, chronic loneliness, messes with your health. It literally does. And so that's why if you are somebody who has people around you or knows people or you're involved in different communities, like it's really important to continue to have these networks of care. It's really, really important. We cannot get through this life alone. Like we don't. There's no way to. You know what I mean? Okay, that's my rant. This is like happy tech nihilism version. I don't know what that was. Cancel that. Erase that. Take it out. Take it out. Don't put that in.
We'll make sure we get a reel of it.
Robert. Robert. No.
Alrighty, folks.
But we should start a happy tech nihilism.
I think we have.
But don't put that in. That could not be a real.
Well, folks, if you need any help with your tech and being happy or AI and stuff like that, come on down to the HappyTec barn. We'll help you out.
If you don't know what the purpose to your life is, please reach out to us.
'Cause yeah, we'll help you with that too.
Yep.
Have a good one, folks.
Bye.